Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day, another episode on this Tuesday edition of 30 NSG. On today's show, we're going to be talking about Delta. We're going to be talking about Delta Force is coming for the Battlefield and Call of Duty. We're going to be talking about the CMA is appeased because the CMA and Microsoft have restructured the Activision Blizzard King deal with Ubisoft. So we're going to talk about that as well. And then we're going to talk about it's a piece from Game Rant that talks about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and how they can avoid being like Marvel's Avengers. And the reason I want to read that and go over that is because I've been talking about Marvel's Avengers and how it failed and how Suicide Squad could also potentially not be like that. So let's go cover that as well. If you guys like this, please make sure you share, like, subscribe. We do these Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning till about noon Eastern. We also are covering Gamescom today. So I will take a small break to go eat around like 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then we'll be back live again at 1:30, about a half hour before Gamescom starts. And then we'll watch it live with you guys. If you want to watch it with me, we'll have reactions and whatnot when we watch it with you. So, sorry about last night. Last night, we had a pipe burst that makes all the water go one to our house and two to the cattle and the other animals on the farm. So I had to take care of that last night. It was much easier than I thought, but still about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes took to fix it. So sorry about that. We also have a new stream or new video that we posted this morning. It's from Legend Bowl. It's a 8-bit, 16-bit football game that came out a couple years ago on PC. It just came out on console about a couple weeks ago. Football season started. I figured, why not play the game, show it off. It's a smaller developer. I think it's called Top Hat developer. No advertisement whatsoever. It's just that I saw it. I was like, it seems like a good price. I wanted to play a football game. I didn't want to play a Madden. So it's a good game. Check it out. We have episode 1, week 1. We're doing a franchise mode. You guys can check that out on this channel. Good morning, Travis. Good morning, Stealth. What's going on, Dave Rose? How's everyone doing this morning? And Boo, what's going on? Morning. All right. Let's get to it here. Start with Delta Force, shall we? So Delta Force is a game that's been out years ago. We're talking, I think the last time it came out was 2009. It was in 1990s when the first game came out. So Delta Force is coming for Battlefield Broken Crown is what they're saying here, which I find funny because I don't think that's the game that people are going for. I think the people, before I even read the article, I haven't read the article yet. I think what they're trying to do is they see there's an opening right now because Activision's being picked up by Microsoft and PlayStation's like, we don't know where the deal's going, as far as like, do they want to rely on Call of Duty or is there going to be another game that raises itself, right? And there's a lot of games coming out like X Defiant. Now there's Delta Force. There's other first-person shooter games that are coming out in the Call of Duty / Battlefield genre that want to try to take over. So those of you that don't remember Delta Force series of games, which is admittedly a limited series, you're not missing much. In 1998, the first game was released on PC, emerging as a borderline title based around a military unit and the same name. It was way back in 2009 that the last game in the short-lived series was released. But now, complete reboot has been revealed, and it looks like it's coming to Battlefield's somewhat broken crown. Now, I'm going to go to Tencent, because Tencent is bringing back Delta Force as a large-scale multiplayer PvP shooter with a single-player campaign based on Black Hawk Down. We're gonna go to the YouTube channel real fast. I'm gonna mute it because I don't really need to hear, but we're gonna watch the trailer. And obviously, when you see it, first things off the top of your head is it looks like Call of Duty, right? It looks like Call of Duty. It looks like Battlefield, Modern Warfare. It looks the same, right? Looks pretty good graphic wise. Hopefully it is good. Maybe it would be better because more competition is better. So that's it. So maybe we'll see more. Obviously, it says Gamescom. Maybe we'll see more in depth of what it is, what the size of it is. It is coming to all systems: PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, Epic Store, Apple, Android. That means it's going to be mobile. It's going to be a mobile game as well, it seems. So whatever that means, we'll find out more. So it says the new game will feature a single-player campaign based on the movie Black Hawk Down, produced Shadow Goo, told IGN, but it will also feature a large-scale multiplayer PvP as central component of the original game. He says, our game designers choose to build an immersive multiplayer battleground that could accommodate even large-scale PvP than the previous 32-player limit. He says, we created a grand atmosphere of the combat on the ground, sea, air, and we designed a variety of methods and engagement for the maps, integrating diverse terrain features such as vertical heights, difference and caves, as well as different vehicle routes. It says, we also created a unique technology advanced vehicle that players can use in-game, including assault vehicles, helicopters, armored vehicles, attack boats, terrain vehicles, jeeps, pickups, fire jets, and drones. These vehicles add to the gameplay experience at a large-scale PvP. It says it can't help but wonder, with all the due respect of the TiMi Studios, has chosen to resurrect the particular military shooter. Not that there's anything in particular wrong with Delta Force. It just doesn't seem to strike me as especially laden with a power of brand recognition. And the 40% Metacritic score for the most recent game in the series isn't the sort of thing that's likely to inspire great interest among potential new fans of the series. Now, the timing of the reveal is also interesting, given that Activision just flipped the switch on the marketing machine for Call of Duty. So it is a little interesting to me why they would choose Delta Force. Why not come out with a brand new IP? Like, this seems like it would be the perfect opportunity. Okay, it would be the perfect opportunity to come out with a brand new IP that wasn't associated with a subpar, mediocre game from the late 90s and then again from the late 2000s. Okay, so it's just a little strange to me that they chose, hey, we're going to pick Delta Force. They could have named it anything. Hell, Sarge has talked about this for the longest time. You could make a game, take exactly what Delta Force is, put a theme of G.I. Joe on it. Take a game just like this, take a brand like Transformers and put it on there, right? There's so many things. Now, obviously, with those, you have to pay people for the licensing and whatnot, okay? But why would you choose Delta Force to bring back to compete? Now, obviously, it could be great. We're going to see some more later today when Gamescom shows. They're going to show more there. I'm just baffled by why Tencent chose to do a single-player story thing, right? Because people play Call of Duty, but it's not really a big thing, okay? And why they would choose to take a brand like Delta Force and kind of redo it, right? I don't understand. Travis is saying, and Creature is saying, where's SOCOM, right? Exactly. Like, SOCOM would have been a much better brand because it was a very beloved brand back in the day. I'm just baffled by this. I hope the game is good, but I hope, look, do you know why BattleBit Remastered is doing well? It's not because of the graphics, okay? It's doing well because of the gameplay. So, sure, this game looks impressive, right? The graphics look impressive. But is it going to be fun? Or is it just going to be another Call of Duty? Or is it going to be just another Battlefield? Time will tell, and we'll find out more at Gamescom. See what you guys are saying in chat here. Delta, never heard of it. Yeah. Feature says, come on, Tencent and you're out? Microsoft and Activision and you're all in, though. I don't think Travis plays Call of Duty. I'm not sure. Call of Duty has been a very fast-paced shooter. Battlefield was both large-scale and tactical shooter. And to say because it looks like it's trying to be Call of Duty with each iteration released. Right. Well, both. Let's be honest, right? Call of Duty has lost its identity of what Call of Duty is. And now Battlefield has also lost its identity. And now here comes another game that's coming in to act just like what Battlefield is. Hence why BattleBit Remastered is doing so well, because it's coming in and taking the place of the fun scale, the fun factor of Battlefield. Okay? I love the fact that they say they're coming for Battlefield and not coming for Call of Duty, right? Because no one wants to make that headline. Like, this game's coming for Call of Duty, because that's just when you read that out loud, you're like, nothing's coming for Call of Duty. The only way Call of Duty gets replaced is if Call of Duty says, we're going to suck and make it worse year after year. Otherwise, they're going to get 20 million, 30 million copies every single year. Every other Every other first-person shooter game like Call of Duty wishes it could get to 10 million units sold, right? Wishes it could get to 10 million sold, right? So it'll be very interesting. What's going on, little monster? SOCOM is the move, 100%, 100%, 100%. You can't say some shit like that unless you're right. X Defy, right? Even that, I don't know, man. I think a lot of these games, it's really hard. It's really hard to break in. Like if you have a soda company, right? You're going up against Pepsi and Coke, right? And when you have another new soda company, they're just gonna get bought out by Coke and Pepsi. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of these studios that make these games, they'll probably just get picked up and bought by the other big guys and move them in underneath the brand. So that's Delta Force. It's I don't know, man. We're going to see it. People are going to look at it in their eyes, and they're going to be like, this looks amazing. I can't. Oh, Battlefield's dead. Oh, Call of Duty's dead. And until you play the actual game and go, man, this feels good. Because BattleBit feels good. It feels like what Battlefield, specifically against Battlefield, BattleBit Remastered feels like Battlefield used to feel in 1942. Feels at Vietnam, Battlefield 1, Bad Company. It feels like that Battlefield, like just what it used to be. All these other games coming out, they have to not only shear off the bad, mediocre gameplay of Delta Force from the past, but now they also have to compete with themselves, make it better than themselves than they did in the past, and then also make it at least as good as Battlefield 2042. Now, here's the thing. If Delta Force comes out and it launches like Battlefield 2042 did, or Battlefield 5 did, to me, it's dead in the water. This game needs to come out because it was already tainted by the name of before in the late 90s and late 2000s. It needs to come out swinging. It needs to come out as a complete game, not buggy in any way, shape, or form, and it has to have substantive content and it feel fun at launch. If it doesn't do this, it's done. It'll be popular for a week, 2, maybe a month, and then it'll just die off, and no one will care about it just like they did in the past. What's going on, Ghost Dragon? What's going on, Reese? No one tried to challenge Call of Duty or Battlefield. They're stagnant. Even with them being right? Even with them being stagnant, look at, I don't know which one. I think Coke is bigger than Pepsi. I'm pretty sure it is, right? Coke is Call of Duty. Pepsi is Battlefield. Okay? And anyone trying to break into that market has to go up against the big guys. So even with their stagnant market of Call of Duty and with Battlefield, the people that are ingrained in Call of Duty are never leaving Call of Duty. It's got to be immaculate. It's got to be so good. The gunplay has to feel so good. There's no way in hell you're going to get those people. You might get some 100,000 people to leave Call of Duty and be like, oh, I'm done with Call of Duty. I'm going to go play Delta Force. But the longevity of that, people will leave to go play the campaign. But these games live and die in the PvP. This is the true live service game type of thing, right? The interaction with multiplayer games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, even Medal of Honor, right, back in the day, that's where these games survive and live until the next rendition of it, right? How many people are going to leave the Battlefield series? How many people are going to leave, right? And especially if it's a full price title of $70. It's going to be a hard sell. It's going to be a hard sell. Go on, Soups. Says real quick, before I have to run for the meeting, I'll be back later on Gamescom. Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be here at 1:30 starting. We're gonna take a little break around 12:30. Take about an hour break and go live again at 1:30. Little Monster says, I played Call of Duty back on the day, but kind of don't walk the path no more. Nothing against those games. I just feel like it's really hard to break into this business, right? It's really hard to break into the competitive shooter. Not even competitor. Because Call of Duty to me is not a competitive shooter. A competitive shooter would be more like Apex Legends and stuff like that, or Team Fortress or CSGO. type of stuff. Oh, 1 second. So Delta Force, hope it does well, but I don't think it will. Okay, let's go to the next big story here. Next big story here. Actually, the bigger story. The last one, the Suicide Squad, is a small story, more of an opinion type of thing from them and from myself. So those of you wanting to know, like, what is the CMA, right? The FTC said no, and they failed, and Microsoft is moving forward to buy Activision Blizzard. The UK, the CMA, said they need to restructure something, right? So Microsoft went out, and Activision Blizzard, let's read their thing first. So Ubisoft comes out and says Activision Blizzard games coming to Ubisoft Plus. So Daniel O'Connor, he says, yes, you read that headline right. Ubisoft today has announced signing an agreement will give Ubisoft cloud streaming rights to the games like Call of Duty and more, coming to the effect upon completion of the Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard. The agreement includes a complete slate of current Activision Blizzard games, as well as all the new titles launching in the 15 years after the closing of Microsoft acquisition Activision Blizzard, and the games will land on Ubisoft Plus. Now, while also allowing Ubisoft to license them to cloud gaming companies, service providers, and console makers. Now, with the single subscription of Ubisoft Plus multi-access, players will soon be able to play their favorite Ubisoft and Activision Blizzard games across multiple platforms, including PC, Xbox, consoles, and Amazon Luna, and the PlayStation platform through Ubisoft Plus Classics. The agreement will offer players even greater access to large library of beloved and classic titles, as well as the newest releases, all through the cloud streaming. Now, cloud gaming allowed a wide range of content to access the multitude of devices, giving players even more ways to play a broader range of hardware with fewer barriers. We're dedicated to delivering amazing experience to our players, whether they're choosing to play, said Chris Early, Senior Vice President, strategy partnership of business development at Ubisoft. Over the past 15 years, we've built and honed in our online service and distribution ecosystem into one of the most completed in the industry. Today's deal gives players even more opportunities to access and enjoy some of the biggest brands in gaming. Ubisoft will announce more about this and how Activision Blizzard titles will be added to Ubisoft Plus and other cloud gaming platforms in the future. In the meantime, discover what's playable with Ubisoft Plus and stay tuned for Ubisoft new homepage, more updates. So again, let's read this. It says the games will land on Ubisoft Plus while also allowing Ubisoft to license them to cloud gaming companies, service providers, and console makers. Right? So it doesn't mean it's not coming to Game Pass and stuff. They're just licensing it out, and Ubisoft is going to be the ones that put it out on other places. So Activision looks like they're not, or I'm sorry, Microsoft doesn't look like they're going to be like, we're being cloud, right? Here's another example that you can tell that Microsoft doesn't care about being the leader in anything, right? They don't. They're not striving to be the leaders in anything. They're just striving to get the money in their hands as much things as possible as they go. So let's go into to appease the CMA. Microsoft restructured the Activision Blizzard King deal. Okay, so Microsoft efforts to appease the content in the UK's competition and market agency as they seek approval for the record-setting $69 billion merger of Activision Blizzard continues. In their rejection of the acquisition, the CMA expressed concerns about the nascent cloud gaming market. And in the latest unexpected twist relating to Microsoft's efforts to push the deal across the finish line, Vice Chair President Brad Smith has penned a blog detailing arrangements for Microsoft to sell the rights for cloud streaming Activision Blizzard titles to Ubisoft Entertainment. He says, to address the concerns about the impact of proposed acquisitions on cloud streaming raised by the UK Competitions and Markets Authority, we're restructuring the transaction to acquire a narrow set of rights. This includes executing an agreement effective at the closing of the merger of transfers at cloud streaming rights for all current and new Activision Blizzard PC and console games released over the next 15 years to Ubisoft Entertainment, a leading global game publisher, and the rights will be in perpetuity. Okay, the newly restructured agreement between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard will narrow the rights that Microsoft receives as part of the transaction. Instead of transferring cloud streaming rights for all current and new Activision Blizzard PC and console games that are released over the next 15 years to Ubisoft Entertainment, Microsoft will no longer be able to release Activision Blizzard titles on Xbox Cloud Gaming exclusively, nor will Microsoft exclusively control the licensing terms for Reveal cloud streaming services. Okay. Microsoft was previously entered into the agreements with several cloud streaming providers, including NVIDIA, Boosteroid, Ubisoft, and Enware, to provide Activision Blizzard King titles to those services upon closure of the acquisitions. Now, during the Xbox versus the FTC trial, however, FTC tried to paint scenarios where Microsoft effectively chooses its competitors in the cloud gaming space by determining who could gain access to Activision Blizzard's library of games, including annual blockbusters Call of Duty. FTC argued that Microsoft could effectively foreclose one of the otherwise successful cloud streaming competitors by withholding Activision Blizzard games from their service. However, this agreement fell flat in the court as the judges ruled in Microsoft's favor. Now, the European Union had similar concerns about the cloud gaming foreclosure. Still, unlike the CMA, they also contend with the marketing agreements between Microsoft and other cloud streaming platforms to provide access to the Activision Blizzard library. According to Brad Smith, the rights acquired by Ubisoft for cloud streaming should the CMA approve the newly reworked acquisition, have been negotiated in such a way as to maintain the integrity of the original streaming deals, keeping Microsoft and Activision Blizzard in compliance with the remedies they presented to the EU. The CMA in the UK has been intent on ongoing all the concerns related to cloud streaming, holding steadfast as they negotiate agreements with NVIDIA and Boosteroid. And while it's insufficient, the regulatory body has been lone holdout preventing the acquisition from closing by the original July 18th deadline. Microsoft and Activision Blizzard were forced to renegotiate the deal and extend the deadline to October 18th. And due to the acquisition being restructured, the CMA will now need to recess the deal to provide a response on whether or not the new remedy of Ubisoft will suffice or be approved. Since our initial account, the Activision Blizzard in January last year, we've endeavored earning regulatory approval for transactions addressing concerns and raised, including by entertaining the binding legal commitments to Call of Duty to the rival consoles of Activision Blizzard games to rival cloud streaming platforms. As a result, the transaction now in position to move forward more than 40 countries, writes Brad Smith in a restructured agreement. We believe that the development is positive for players, progression of cloud gaming streaming market, and the growth of the industry. So I think the way... Now, again, this is the way I'm receiving it. Maybe you guys are seeing it in a different light. I'd like to know what you guys are thinking, so make sure you put it in the comments section down below if you're watching this after the fact, or put it in the live chat as we're talking about it. I think this is smart, right? I know you're looking at this going, wait a minute. Do I have to get Ubisoft Plus now to play Call of Duty games? Yes and no, right? Microsoft is selling the license to them so they have control of where they distribute it. Okay? So now, if Ubisoft says we would like to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, okay, it would be fine because now Ubisoft has the license to it, where Microsoft can put it on Game Pass if they want to, and then Ubisoft is the one distributing it, going, yeah, who wants it? Who wants it on their cloud gaming? If Luna wants it, they can get it. If Ubisoft Plus puts it on theirs, you can get it. Now, it could also be where they're just holding it on Ubisoft Plus. Well, here's another thing. I called this a couple of months ago. I said Ubisoft Plus will probably be on Game Pass. It'll probably be part of the Ultimate package. Okay? Just like EA Plus is on there, where you can play their games. Okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't go to Game Pass, but it goes to Ubisoft Plus, and then Ubisoft Plus becomes part of the package of Game Pass Ultimate, right? Not just regular Game Pass Ultimate, right? I don't know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys agree or not. Dave Rose says, sorry, I said I do not touch the game is dead in the water and is going to start stripping key components of what the game has. So you're saying that because Microsoft has Activision is going to fundamentally take things away from the game in spite is what they're going to do. Go on, Kylo. Travis says, so what you're saying is Microsoft's content is being second best at everything. Yep, sounds about right. Like how Bill was always second fiddle to Steve Jobs. I've said for years, Travis, that Microsoft is just trying to be like a supermarket. Right? They're not a niche market. They're trying to be a supermarket where they can just sell one item, which would be games for Xbox, or they could be in many things as possible, have their hands as many things as possible, and that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So basically, Reese says, basically, it appeases imaginary concerns about yet to be established market, and we're doing this, so hurry up and improve. Right. Did you fix your water pipe? I did. Last night around 7:35, I had my wife went to go take a shower, and then all of a sudden she's like, "There's no water pressure." I'm like, "No water pressure?" Because we have a well and a pump and whatnot. And all of a sudden I look out the window and there's just, and I'm like, "Oh, crap!" Right? And wouldn't have been a big deal. We would just shut off the water if it was just a normal house, and I would call somebody or fix it the next day. But we have animals that need water and whatnot, and where it broke was like one of the main lines to all the other stuff. So we had to go out. And fix that. Oh, give me a second. I forgot to switch the. I hope the crash here. Here we go. Wait a minute. Is that the? Hopefully the stream doesn't go down. Okay, it's good. All right, there we go. Yeah, so I had to fix the pipe, and my brother-in-law lives right next door to us, so he came over and he helped, and we knocked it out in like an hour and a half. So, family, buddy, family. If it wasn't for my brother-in-law, we would have been shit out of luck last night. All right, let's see what you guys are saying. Xbox Major Nelson has retired. Oh, did he? Yeah. Oh, that's why there's no water pressure. Yeah. There's a geyser shooting up in the air. Is Sarge close? No. My brother-in-law. Sarge lives about 200 miles away from me. Now, my brother-in-law, we literally live right next door to each other. We have, in our area, we have 2 families because it's not a development. We live on 40 acres. My brother-in-law lives on, I think, like 17 or 20 acres. Then my father-in-law lives on another 20 acres. So we're all next to each other. So, and then across the street's another family that owns another bunch of acres as well. Reese says, the only reason I can think of why Microsoft hasn't just closed over the CMA is because they've got more large purchases planned. Oh, for sure. Wouldn't it be funny, Reese? Wouldn't it be funny if this deal goes through? They give them the license to Ubisoft, okay? And then Microsoft, I don't know, a year or two down the road, buys Ubisoft. Now, I don't think they will right away, but I do believe they'll make a deal where Ubisoft Plus comes onto Game Pass for the Ultimate Edition. I do. I just see that. I don't feel like they buy the company. I feel like they don't have to buy EA. They could buy EA if they wanted to, but they don't have to. They're working hand in hand with EA, and EA Plus, or whatever the hell it's called, is on Game Pass Ultimate, right? And I can see the same deal happening with Ultimate with Ubisoft Plus. Because how many of you are going to go out right now? How many of you actually pay for Game Pass, pay for PlayStation Plus, pay for EA Plus, and pay for Ubisoft Plus? I'm not going to say that maybe 1 or 2 of you, right? But who has PlayStation Plus and like EA Plus? Or who has, if you have Game Pass, you don't need EA Plus. So maybe you buy EA Plus, or I'm sorry, maybe you buy Game Pass and Ubisoft Plus. I don't see, like, I wouldn't buy Ubisoft Plus unless you're just a huge Ubisoft fan. Most people would just go buy those games and play those games, right? You mean this? Where is it? Oh, you can't hear it.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yeah, I feel there's something more behind this deal. It's not just as easy as Microsoft is giving the rights to Ubisoft so they can distribute it. There's something other behind the scenes. Watch says I have Game Pass Ultimate, but I'm still gonna buy the $100 Starfield, so I feel like I own the game. Well, at least you can say that and know that you're not gonna own it, right? I like how you put so I feel like I own the game, and that's okay, right? Look, if you want to buy a game, you also here's the thing though, Monster. Let's say you really like Starfield, and all of a sudden you're putting maybe you're putting thousands of hours into this game, okay, and that's the only game you're playing. Then it's actually a smart thing that you did and buy Starfield instead of playing it on Game Pass, because if you're playing one game on Game Pass, it's not worth your money, right? Because if you're just playing a Game Pass game, one game, and you're paying $17 a month on Ultimate, or you're paying $10 or $11 a month to play it on the regular Game Pass, it's not worth it, right? You're not getting your money's worth because you're only playing that one game. But if you buy that game, then you're buying that game and playing that game. You could cancel your Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? Water says, are there any games other than Reactivate you're looking forward to at Gamescom? No. No, there's no other game. I'm at a spot right now, Water, that nothing really interests me, right? I'm playing a lot more like independent games or smaller games right now, right? Like we're playing BattleBit Remastered, we're playing Starship Troopers, we're playing Legend Bowl with the football game, right? Like I'm playing a lot of like little title games, or I'm going back to other games that I've already played. Like Season 10 for SnowRunners just came out, so I started playing that a little bit again. There's a bunch of games I go back to play instead of looking forward. Like I've been burned so many times buying a game full price and then being disappointed with that full price game, right? And it's like the industry is doing it on purpose and then leaning me towards not buying, right? Because I played Transformers the last 3 weeks, the two Transformers games, War of Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron. Then I went back to the 360, started playing Ultimate Alliance again, the original Ultimate Alliance. So there's a lot of stuff. Did you give up on Baldur's Gate 3? No, I'm still playing Baldur's Gate 3, right? I'm still playing these games, but it's like, do I have enough time to play all these games? I don't, right? Baldur's Gate 3 on the weekends, I pop it on for like an hour and a half while I'm like editing and stuff in the background, and I'll do some choices, move around. I'm playing super casual with Baldur's Gate. Okay, Baldur's Gate, I wasn't exaggerating a couple weeks ago when I said it'll probably take me a year to complete the story because I'm playing it super casual. Hour and a half? Yeah, I literally just log in and I'll do like a quest line, like one quest, right? I'll go to a little section, do a little fight. That's it. That's like 2 side quests and walking 2 blocks. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. I've never played a game like the way I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 ever in my entire life. I'm just playing it super casual. I'm not streaming it. I'm not making content on it. I'm just enjoying it in the back behind the scenes, and I'm absolutely loving it. Man, if we get another Ultimate Alliance announcement, I'll scream like a little girl. I don't think we are, but that'd be great. That'd be great. The original Saints Row is keeping me busy until Starfield. The original, like you're talking like the very first Saints Row. Travis says, what do you mean not enough time? It's like you have family, you take care of the game companies, hate you. I mean, honestly, I don't have enough time. When I'm not streaming, Travis, when I'm not live streaming something, I'm trying to make content now to upload stuff. And if that's recording a bunch of videos and then keeping them until a later date to release them, that's what I do. And then on the weekends, I don't do anything until my family goes to sleep. Once my family goes to sleep, like around 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'll come to my office and then I start making or looking at stories I could make or play games and capture the footage of those things. And then if I'm not doing any of that, I'm just playing games just so I can keep up to date and talk about games, right? Stories, watching other people play games, being just absorbing as much information as possible. So, what do you guys think about this Ubisoft Plus arrangement that's happening here? Do you think, one, the CMA says, yeah, it's suffice. We'll let that go through, and now the UK gets everything that they had before? Or do you think there's going to be some sort of problem here? I think it's interesting now because now PlayStation said they don't want Call of Duty on Game Pass because it's not fair to them, right? It would make people go to Game Pass and not play it on PlayStation. And that's 48% of their player base plays on PlayStation. But now that Microsoft gives it to Ubisoft and Ubisoft says we put it on Ubisoft Plus, now you have a choice. If you want to play Call of Duty, you can play Ubisoft Plus. Or now if Ubisoft puts it part of Game Pass, okay, then technically Game Pass is not doing it. Ubisoft Plus is making the deal to put it on Ubisoft Plus that you can play through Ultimate Game Pass, right? So it's not on Game Pass per se. And then then PlayStation can't really be like, well, this is bullshit, right? Because now it's diminishing us. I mean, it's still diminishing them, but they have a choice. They could sign a deal with Ubisoft Plus. Reese says, I guess the CMA approves. I think they do. I think they do. Nice try, Travis. We're not going down that road. Good try, though. I hope they put the Game Pass Sony in years would just make a better game than Call of Duty. I hope they put it on Game Pass. Sony in years would just make a better game of Call of Duty. Yeah, but they're not. What I'm saying is they just gave the license over to Ubisoft. So it's now Ubisoft's decision if they want to put it on Game Pass. You see what I'm saying, boss? But they're not putting it on Game Pass. They're putting it, if they did, they would put it underneath their Ubisoft Plus, and Ubisoft Plus would be part of Game Pass, sort of like EA Plus is. Silent Warrior says, I think the EU say that if they wanted it to see it, and this is satisfying those requirements, I don't think Microsoft would have released it without some kind of heads up would be approved. Perhaps. They probably talked about it behind the scenes, like, do you think this would be enough? And they're like, yeah, let's do it, right? Because they're not losing Call of Duty. They're just losing they're selling the rights to the cloud service for Call of Duty. Duplicate to Ghost says, it feels like that this has been going on forever. It's been going on for almost 2 years. It's been going on for, 18 months? They announced it January of 2022. So that's 12. And then we're in, 12. And we have another 8. Yeah, so we're at 20 months. We're 4 months away. 4 months away from 2 years of this whole thing going through. This is interesting. This is definitely interesting. The EU is starting issues again now? What do you mean they're starting issues again? The EU says that they need to reevaluate the new structure of the deal. Well, if they're in the process, Stealth, of thinking the way I'm thinking, right? This fixes the solution right now for the EU and for the CMA. But as soon as the deal goes through, Ubisoft Plus could become part of Game Pass. You see what I'm saying? Which then Microsoft gets it back on their service regardless. Kind of tricky. Yeah, Monster, we read about it yesterday that they had over 1 million people play it over the weekend. 1 million people played it over the weekend. We talked about it yesterday. But that game, and any game like that game, lives or die with the player base. So we read an article saying that Chainsaw Massacre, it only has 17,000 people playing it on Steam, was the concurrent player base. But because it was on Game Pass, they see like that's where it's a lot of people are playing it, or on the PC with Game Pass. So we don't know how many of those numbers, because the reports don't say, and they don't tell you how many they sold. But they said they're actually happy that they put it on Game Pass because that game lives or dies based on the player base. Brain says, Ubi's making Call of Duty now. Do you think they will be like Ghost Recon Future Soldier, kind of Battlefield-ish modes, if they keep it copy pasta and Activision? No, they're not making. They don't own the rights to Call of Duty, Brain. They just have the rights, the license to the streaming part of the cloud part. They're not making it. Ubisoft's not. They're not selling it to Ubisoft. They're licensing it out to Ubisoft for the deal. So they have the license of how to distribute it in the cloud space. Silent Warrior says, I think Microsoft is smart. Let Ubi go through the growing pains in the cloud. And in 15 years, where the cloud is more dominant, they can take control back. Sure. Yeah. Let someone else hold it. And then they can just deny, later, 15 years. They can approve it more, or they can take it away. Sounds like such a headache. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cogwheels moving in the business, right? They're trying to not only they're trying to play 4-dimensional chess, right? They're trying to figure out a way where they can get around what the CMA wants, and then also keep it where they can come back to them. I don't see. Look, do you guys believe that in the 15 years we're never going to see Call of Duty games come to Game Pass, or any Activision games come to Game Pass? Seems pretty silly, right? You paid $70 billion for something, and you're not going to put it on the thing that you're using the most to try to sell your systems about. You know what I mean? So I can see them not putting it on Game Pass right away, but down the road, even if it's just a deal where the newest Call of Duty is not on Game Pass, but 1 year after, they take that game and put it on Game Pass when the next Call of Duty comes out, type of thing. I don't know. I mean, does it really matter if it's on Game Pass or not? Because everyone's playing Warzone. Warzone's free to play. So it doesn't really matter if it's on Game Pass or not. It's on all systems, free to play, and that's what most people are playing, is Warzone. Boss says, I've been at work so much, I haven't got to see the Blue Beetle, Stray, Teenage Mutant Turtles, or this weekend when I'm off to go see Gran Turismo. We're watching Gran Turismo this weekend, Saturday. We're watching it. It's getting good. It's getting good audience score, bad review score. So Brain says, we'll see Activision games within 3 months of the ink drying on the deal. Yeah, I think if it's not Call of Duty, we'll see other games, right? But this also includes other games. So like Starcraft, Warcraft, those type of games. And here's a funny part, right? Hasbro wants Activision to put their old games out on the cloud gaming and whatnot, right? Well, now they have the rights or the license to control all that stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if they take like Transformers Reactivate. Again, sorry, not Transformers Reactivate. Transformers Fall of Cybertron and War of Cybertron. And they like upload those onto Ubisoft Plus, which is very, very strange. Smart on Microsoft's part, because now Ubisoft is paying Microsoft for the license deal, right? Monster says a wrestling game simulator came out today in Xbox Store. All old school wrestlers are in the game too. You're talking about Is it WrestleFest? I think it's called. No, is it WrestleFest? It's an RPG game, is it not? WrestleQuest, I think that's what it's called. Come on, Tony. This is what I was thinking. The old shit will go on, and the new shit will have 1 or so year delay. Perhaps, yeah. Reese says, right. If they're done with the bigger purchases, they flip the CMA, the bird, and close. Doing this makes it pretty clear they're not done buying. Absolutely not done buying. We said this before. They can't buy anything until this goes through, and then they can start buying small companies up again, right? The reason it was such a big deal is because Activision's such a big company. But now they can go buy other companies up after this. Yeah, a lot of the older libraries will go up quick. I believe so. I'm still going to stick with it. I still think World of Warcraft and stuff like that will go on to Game Pass in some way, shape, or form. If it's now going through Ubisoft Plus or whatnot, but it's definitely going to be able to play on console in a couple of years. WrestleQuest, yeah, I think that's what it is. No, WrestleFest is that game that we played. WrestleFest is that game that we played a couple years ago. It was a small independent. WrestleFest was the original WWF WrestleFest, right? And then there's the new one. Isn't there a new WrestleFest? Or what's that game called? Retromania Wrestling. That's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, bot. Or boss. My brain's not here today. Yeah, so WrestleFest is the one that was in the arcade. That was my favorite. It was this guy right here. This is WrestleFest from 1991. This game was. This is my favorite wrestling game of all time. I played the crap out of this game when it was in the arcade. This was my favorite. You see him come running down the thing, they're like, and they come down. This was fantastic. I lost so many quarters in this game. Yeah, this was the best. If I could find the cabinet for this, I think I would buy it. I would definitely buy it. This was great. We've talked about it in the past, Travis. Before you even became a member in this channel, like 6 months ago, me and Sarge talked about Smash TV all the time. Like, we would like to buy the license of Smash TV and like remake it. If you do it right, it'd be a fantastic game. Yeah, Tony. That is Ultimate Warrior, Earthquake. You got Hawk, right? You got Hogan. Hogan's back there as well. Hold on, let me see. You get the Road Warriors. That's Ted DiBiase, I think, right there. Hogan versus Ted DiBiase. You got Earthquake and Ultimate Warrior. Oh no, they have him in there. Macho Man's in here. When a new guy comes down the ring, you'll see him pop up in the corner. Right? Like Mr. Perfect's coming down to the ring right now. Right? So someone got eliminated. So Mr. Perfect's running down the ring. Now Mr. Perfect's in the ring. Right? So this is how it works. Got Jake the Snake Roberts there. I forget how many characters you had in the game total. Right? You have Crush from Demolition, Jake Roberts, Ted DiBiase, Smash from Demolition, Legion of Doom, Hawk, Legion of Doom Animal, Ultimate Warrior, Hulk Hogan, Big Boss, Sergeant Slaughter, Mr. Perfect, Earthquake. I believe there's other rosters as well. It was fantastic. Check your Discord. What's this? Wait, look at. Woo! $4,000. $4,000. I could probably get a cabinet built flat screen without the original cabinet here for less money. That'd be great though. You're paying for that wood. Yeah, you're paying for that wood. He was a secret character with the code. At least that's what the Rock said. Is that true? In WrestleFest? Rocky Johnson was a I mean, we could look that up real fast. What is this? Character preview. Let's see. I don't see anything. The WrestleFest. Oh, maybe inside. You're talking about the WWE game, but not WrestleFest. No, that's not it. No, that's all the characters. There's only 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. 11, 12. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11. Only 11. 11 characters. Yeah, you can do it for like 500. Yeah, for sure. I went to a home show a couple months ago, and a guy builds these like these custom cabinets, and he made one like the bar ones, with the flat screen, like you used to sit down. It was like a tabletop, and then he created it where the actual thing, the tabletop, lifts up and it becomes a regular arcade, so you can play it laying down or standing up. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And I was talking to him. He said, yeah, he could build custom ones, and he could build them for around $500 or $600. The one that he showed me was like $3,000. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But it's the wood that you're paying for, right? It was the wood that you're paying for. But you could get a flat screen and then build. I mean, I'm a handy person. I could probably build it myself. It was the one where The Rock's favorite games when he was a kid. And when Rocky Johnson saw him playing it, he teased that he was a secret character in the game. He was just working the gimmick. Ah, that's cool. Chapter 8. Really disappointed you said you're paying for that wood like 3 times and no one said that's what she's. So here I am. That was a great wrestling game back in the day. Yeah. Yeah, you could do it. Like what I'm saying is I want that. I don't want to sit on a couch. I want to stand up and put it. The last year when we went to Asheville, we stayed in a house like that we rented or whatever, and they had a stand-up arcade, and it was exactly what you guys are saying. It was like a flat screen, not a full cabinet or whatever, and it had like 3,000 games, right? It didn't have the real names of them, though. It didn't have the real names. It had, like, instead of Metroid, it was like Petroid or something. You know what I mean? It was like, or like Spaceman or something. So they don't get sued Kingdom Come. We're respectful. Sure we are, Water. Sure we are. Oh, yeah. I was a big Legion of Doom fans, right? I was a big fan of Legion of Doom. So playing that game, that's what it was, what was great. That's the DLC for Starfield Spaceman. All right, let's go to the last story, which is more of an opinion thing, and then we can talk about other topics afterwards as well. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Okay, obviously it was supposed to come out already in May. Never came out. It got delayed. They haven't said anything about it. So there's an article written by Trey Griff. Haven't read it yet, but he says Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League can avoid a Marvel's Avengers scenario by doing this. So we're going to read this, and I'm going to give you my opinion because we made a video of this and how games like this could actually survive or how they should survive. And let's see if he hits on some points. Okay. He says, earlier this year, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League finally had its big gameplay revealed during Sony's February State of Play presentation. Man, it feels like forever ago, doesn't it? Unfortunately, leaked details concerning the sociable live service elements were poorly received, with many creative decisions criticizing by fans. Soon after, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was hit with a massive delay. The delay... Is there such thing as a massive delay? I mean, a delay is a delay. It could be 2 days. I mean, a delay is a delay. The delay may not allow any widely substantive changes, but could potentially avoid Marvel's Avengers scenario with one major tweak. At the time of the initial release, the reviews of Marvel's Avengers were lackluster, and the game failed to pull in the player base and developers clearly anticipated. A lot of this had to do with the game's live service nature, which was very repetitive and exhausting, and its execution. Support for the game currently set to end in late September, and the content updates end some time ago. If Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League wants to avoid a similar fate, it will also need to shake up things. Specifically, the game will need to have new enemies after the game launches. This is one of the biggest things that we always complain about. We're like, we complained about this with Destiny, by the way. Destiny, the original Destiny. We're like, we're playing the same characters. 9 years into the game, we're still playing the same villains that you played for years and years and years and years, right? You still kill the Vex, you still kill the Fallen, you still kill the Taken, you still kill the, right? So it was funny to me that people were giving shit to Marvel's Avengers because you were fighting the robots, right? And they did have other people. They had quite a few enemies, but we were tired of killing the same enemies. And yet other games do it and everyone's fine with it. It's just weird how people pick it up, right? So the repetitive nature of Marvel's Avengers and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, okay? So from the start, it was clear that Marvel's Avengers would have repetitive enemies, right? And we thought for sure that Marvel's Avengers were like, oh, you know, we're going against these guys now, but you know, when they come out with, you know, Kate, we'll have different bad guys. When we come out with Black Panther, we'll have different bad guys, which we did, right? They added more bad guys when Black Panther came out, but for some reason, people didn't talk about that. They're just like, oh, it's the same because whatever. Okay. So throughout the game's length, Earth Mightiest heroes fought against AIM, made up a handful of primary enemy types. The problem was that something that continued well after launch, with the players constantly grinding against the seamlessly endless swarms of these robots. While this game continued to add more content and storylines, the primary enemies remained the same. Unfortunately, this is something that's upcoming DC game appears to be in the prime position to do as well. Okay. So what he's talking about is the gameplay that we saw for Suicide Squad. We're going up against the alien race from Brainiac. Okay, great. Game comes out, you play the story, you save the Justice League, and now you're done with the campaign, let's say 15, 20 hours, the same as Marvel's Avengers. Then you play the end game, and you're still going up against the same enemies. Okay. Unlike Division 2, where the Black Tusk come in once you beat the game. But here we are 5 years later. 5 years later, no one's complaining that you're beating the same enemies in Division 2. Nobody's saying you're still going up against the same enemies in Destiny 2. No one's saying the same thing for all these other games, that you still go up against the same enemies year after year, month after month, week after week. Okay. So Suicide Squads, I think, could do okay as long as the enemies feel fresh when you play them and the gameplay's fun, right? The reason people don't complain in Division 2 about the same enemies is because the gameplay's fun. The reason they don't complain about in Division is because the gameplay's fun, right? Or Destiny's gameplay's fun, right? The gameplay in Marvel's Avengers kind of gets monotonous because you're just kind of like, okay, I'm doing the exact same thing in the exact same space. It doesn't feel... It's like you're doing the same thing in the dungeon with Diablo. Look at Diablo. They got like hundreds of different enemies and stuff, but at the same time, it feels repetitive because you're going against the same type of guys. So one way they could do this is at the end of the campaign of Suicide Squad, I feel, is they could do like a Black Tusk type of thing, add a new hero for the next season. And then 2 seasons down the line, if it's like a comic book, add a different villain. So, for instance, I talked about this in Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights could have been... I think they could have set it themselves up to do it correctly. So every time there's a villain, Harley Quinn has her crew, right? Mr. Freeze has his crew. What's it called? Clayface has his crew. That Court of Owls is their separate crew. If they bring in Two-Face, they have a different crew, right? They have different villains, different abilities, different stuff, whatever. Okay? That's the way they should do it in Suicide Squad. So if you beat Brainiac at the end of Brainiac's campaign, that's it. That's a wrap-up. Now, in Endgame, you're still going against him. But then when the next content comes out, if they go up against, Darkseid, then Darkseid has his enemies that they come in. And if, whoever else comes into the DC universe in Suicide Squad, they can have their enemies and their henchmen and whatnot. And I think that's the way you go about it. Okay? It says all the vehicles' large construction had big purple spots, that apparent weakness. And while Brainiac should remain the main antagonist of the game, having an infinite horde of purple aliens stick around afterwards would likely detrimental to the longevity. Okay, this is very likely that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League delay won't fix all of these problems, or any of these problems, but also could mitigate some of them. After the game launches, it will also need to continue to support its intends to stay up to live service. A key part of the survival will be giving players a new things for Task Force X to tackle in the DC universe, and plenty of potential enemies. One of the most obvious, and one of the things that some kind of attack of Darkseid is also the armies of while this also would be more sequel territory, having Suicide Squad go up against new villains of their minion horde could establish a familiar groundwork for the story's continuation. Other options could include a reach to Yellow Lantern or some other intergalactic threat. Well, the problem is, if you have an intergalactic threat, you have to keep going with the intergalactical threat type of thing. Right? The DC universe, also full of organization with malicious intent on the Earth, could serve as a worthy antagonist. It also wouldn't be a stretch to assume that one of these organizations would draw Amanda Waller's attention and give Task Force-esque a fresh batch of enemies to take down, which is sorely needed in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League regards. Now, Rocksteady has been quite quiet about what it is cooking for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League since it was delayed. But the one thing that is clear, that if they want to avoid the fate of Marvel's Avengers, it'll need to be something different with the enemies learned and how to course correct with the blunders. Here's the thing. The reason we were nitpicking on Marvel's Avengers enemies is because the gameplay was monotonous and boring. Okay? If the gameplay is fun, like Destiny, if the gameplay is fun like Division, if the gameplay is fun, insert game here for game, then you don't realize you're fighting the same enemies. Okay? No one's complaining about playing Fallout 3, a single player game, and playing the same enemies. No one's complaining about fighting the same enemies in Cyberpunk 2077. No one's complaining about God of War because they know it's a single player game. right? No one's complaining about Assassin's Creed fighting the same people over and over. All these games are fun to play. Hence why you don't partake in saying, well, we're playing the same enemies over and over. But for some reason, when a live service game comes out, the intentions all of a sudden go up and go, I can't believe we're still playing the same characters. Division and Destiny are live service games, and yet everyone keeps fighting the same people, and yet no one has a problem. And if there is a problem, it's so minute because it's fun gameplay. So if Marvel's Avengers was just fun gameplay and didn't have microtransactions oozing out of it every 5 seconds, or, oh, you can't earn this, you have to buy it in the transaction store, that's when it starts to whittle down on people, right? They're like, well, it's grindy to be grindy. It's not fun to do the certain activities. There's microtransactions everywhere. So people are like, oh, we're fighting the same enemies. If that was fun, other people wouldn't start crapping on the other elements. You start getting nitpicky for what's wrong with the game because it's not fun. So if Suicide Squads is fun, people wouldn't care that you're killing the same thing. People wouldn't care that you're shooting at purple dots on vehicles from the aliens because it's part of the story. But if it's not fun and it doesn't look fun, then people start to nitpick and whatnot on games, and then it starts to escalate even more and more. Let me go back up and see what you guys are saying. Waterbear says Marvel has so many different villains and mobs to choose from, and they drop a gigantic ball on that one. They should have been playing the game right now, and same fans of Destiny are still doing. Exactly. Right? People are still playing and still fighting the same guys. They just hadn't made it fun. They just hadn't made it fun. Now, I had fun. Right? I had fun. Water also says, we know that the villains that we know, many of it is, we know that the backstories, etc., we connect to them in our childhood, like Transformers, Decepticons, Autobots, etc. Yeah, and again, with a game like this, because it's comic book, this game lives or dies on how many villains you fight. How many you can fight the same villains, right? Think about this. What about if Suicide Squad was based on you kill the Justice League and you're going against all the Justice League members, right? So we fight just the 6, Batman, Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, Superman. But then DLC comes in, and now, Hawkman is corrupt. Robin and whatnot is corrupt. They just keep adding more people. Dr. Fate is corrupt, and you have to go against these characters, right? Because these are the villains in this type of game. Plus Brainiac and his villains, right? So as long as you keep adding more bad guys, good guys, whatever, okay, people would feel driven to fight. Then you have to get cool stuff, right? Because it's not a single player game. It's a live service game. So if I go up against Superman, I want the gear to drop something cool to drop when I fight Superman, or when I beat Batman, or when I beat Wonder Woman. That type of stuff is what it needs to do. And I feel that they're going to drop the ball here. This is where I feel like the ball is going to be dropped. I don't really care that you're fighting the same aliens over and over 8 months later, 10 months later. If the gameplay is fun and there's things to do in the game to keep you distracted from going, something wrong, right? Because we do it with movies as well. When you get taken out of a movie, you start nitpicking that movie and you start just destroying it. Okay? Same with the video game. If that game breaks that wall, then you start looking at stuff going, I don't know, this is bad, this looks bad, this is bad. See what else you guys are saying. All right, boss, have a good one. I enjoyed the Gotham Knights DLC. I think Gotham Knights is really good in the open world. I think they raised the bar for that type of game, and now other people need to do the same. Because you could go around the city and just do a whole bunch of different activities, fight different factions, and it's fun. Division does the same type of thing. Travis says, problem I see with Darkseid is he's too strong for Suicide Squad. That's the same problem with Superman. Right? Anyone can be too strong. But what about if I put some sort of gear on our weapons that makes us stronger? You know what I mean? It's a comic book. You can't be like, well, that's not realistic. Comic book. Barry says Call of Duty is pretty much like FIFA. Once it comes out to people, you just get it. I don't know if Barry's behind or if he's talking about what we're talking about here. When I saw Suicide Squad looking very, shoot purple spot and repeat. But what's the difference, right? Rose, and I asked the question because in Destiny, when you fight a boss, there's like all of a sudden talk about the raid boss. He's got a mechanic, and then all of a sudden he opens up and there's a red spot that you have to shoot, right? Or if you know the easy spot to shoot anyone's in the head. Okay. So what's the difference between something like that and then shooting a purple dot? Right? And when I ask that is, I think the difference is that they disguise it better in like a Destiny game or Division than they do inside Suicide Squad type of thing. Quintar says no real reward, just grinding and just get blasted with microtransactions, right? And then you start looking at it, you start nitpicking it. You know what I mean? Bear says, do you think Unrecorded is a genius game or genuine game? That's the one that looks like the body cam, right? That one, Unrecorded. I think it's going to be good. I don't know. I think a lot of people, the problem with a game like that is people want realism, but I think when it gets too real, I think people will push back because you get kind of desensitized. I don't know. Travis says, by saying live service, I assume it means regular updates with new content. Single player, I assume new enemies will only be if DLC. Again, though, can we name a game, though, that put in a live service game that has put in new enemies once a year? Can we name one? I don't know. When you get Batman, you get his wallet. When you beat Wonder Woman, she gives you your number. That's right. Except Superman isn't that strong. 1 kryptonite, 2 magic. But again, it's like the point is that you can't make a Superman game because he's too OP. And if you use the kryptonite, then you just bring him down to a regular level. And then what's the point of making a Superman game type of thing, right? I would hope Superman's the last boss and he's extremely hard. And then you have to build up to play Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm playing Suicide Squads, maybe I can't play Superman until I get the other Justice League members down. Maybe you get some sort of piece of gear that helps you go up against Superman. We're not going to talk about that, Stealth, because one, I'm not interested in Destiny, but two, obviously we're going to talk about Gamescom when it comes out, so we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it on GXG, or we'll talk about it tomorrow, whatever, to cover it. Go on, Hellspawn. Water says, speaking of Wonder Woman, I think we might see more than just the CGI of her on Gamescom. Perhaps. That, and I just think it's dumb. All the members just use guns. It takes the unique away from them. Now, that I'll agree with. Rose. We said that, like, they have their special abilities and whatnot, where, like, Boomerang's got his boomerang that he throws, but it's more like an ultimate ability. And it is kind of weird that in this world, you're Suicide Squad and you're just using guns, right? And the reason for this is because basically they've designed the game to be a looter. Well, if they don't have, what's the loot, right? Like, if I'm Harley Quinn, am I just finding baseball bats? And if I'm Boomerang, am I just finding boomerangs? So I understand their dilemma, but this is what they chose to do, right? This is what they chose to do. Sarge says, no game has, last 9 years, not changed enemies. Every game that has story points and has more than 5 years changes enemies because they're MMOs. Yeah, but even MMOs don't really change enemies, right? I mean, what's the difference, right? Let's think about this, right? Let's think about if I have a character, and Gotham Knights does this, right? So, Mr. Freeze henchmen, the elites have like this armor that they put on and they slam down and they do like a frost. But Harley's characters, elites, look a little different. They change their suits, but when they slam the ground, it's electricity. The same fucking enemy. It's the same enemy. They're just different bonuses or whatnot on them. So they're resistance against certain things. And then the other ones have like a poison. Same character. So one looks like an elite with armor on. One looks like an elite with armor with different color on. And another, it's like same enemies, but not. They all do that, right? A Cabal elite is the same as a Vex elite. It's just a different structure of visually looking, but they do the exact same type of thing. I think most single player games have diversity in enemies, grunts, mages. They have the same in a live service game as well, though. Chapter 8, there was grunts and whatnot inside of AIM, inside Marvel's Avengers. There was grunts and stuff. We had a detailed video of Suicide Squad's trailer like last year, and they had grunts and whatnot inside their game as well. So I honestly truly believe that if the game is fun to play, you kind of just like gloss over enemies not coming into the game, right? And playing the same thing. Barry said, I played Oxenfree at your recommendation yesterday and completed it. One sitting, 5 hours. Yeah, it's a short game. Enjoyed it. Was cheap. Any other recommendations? Something a little longer. Do you want like story or do you want, I mean, there's a game out there that you'll think it's funny, but do some research. It's called SnowRunners, right? It's been out for 3 years. It's a truck driving game where you go from like point A to point B doing supplies. It converts the land. It's a very hard game, okay? And I compare it to, I say it's like a Dark Souls games of car simulators, like truck simulator, right? So it's excruciating where the boss is the land itself. You'll have vehicles that get stuck in mud and you get knocked out, and you'll do 40 minutes of gameplay, and then all of a sudden you'll lose the load and you have to come and save it and whatnot. So it's a very fun game if you like games like that. It's a wonderful game. The physics and stuff inside of SnowRunners. That's a horrible pitch, 30. I mean, that's what it is. Everyone that sees me play it's like, this looks kind of weird. And then when they play it, they're like, this is an excellent game. So I would do more research. You can go check out some of the, I don't think we have it on this channel. I erased all my other channel stuff. But SnowRunner is a fantastic game. And they constantly update it. They're in season 10, year 3, season 10. Sounds terrible and frustrating. It all depends what type of person you are. That's why I say do your research. Gotham Knights didn't have enough villains. Hope the DLC fixes it. I think they did. For each of the, you're saying villains, not enemies. You're correct. I wish they had more with the case files. They needed, in my opinion, in one of my videos I said this, minimum, they needed 10 enemies. 10. Especially for a non-live service game. Dave Rose says, why would King Shark use guns? He's a god. I get it. He would use guns because in this form, it's a looter. How do you make a game a looter? Like, what would King Shark collect? Right? Now you're getting the same type of field as Marvel's Avengers, right? Hulk didn't get a gun, but he got like a fist and a spine and different pieces to make the character bigger, and people hated that. So it's like, where do they go? Do they do the exact same type of style as Marvel's Avengers? Environment and cover plus story, and if you play it short term, live service, usually just get invested into the character and gear. Square peg and a round hold, need to make microtransactions. Exactly, Sarge. Travis says, it's funny that I thought that Gotham Knights was dead, so I assumed that no DLC. then info of the game out, and I'm like, whoo, DLC. This game is still alive, and I expect DLC. There's supposed to be another DLC coming. Maybe we'll see that at Gamescom. Who knows? I've played it. Not a bad description. Look at maybe at a platformer. I don't play very many platformers. But did you like SnowRunners? Because SnowRunners, I think, is one of my favorite games. I think King Shark is good, or Demigod. Either way, he kicks ass. I just think the problem is when you describe like, hey, let's make a game like Suicide Squad, but let's give them guns. And I'm like, right there, personally, and I agree with Dave Rose 100%. I'm like, why are we giving guns to people that have abilities and stuff? Right? Well, we don't want to be like Marvel's Avengers, because Marvel's Avengers, people were complaining that the gear didn't change when you put the new gear on them. It didn't visually change what you want on them, right? And they're like, well, what do we do there? Well, let's just do cosmetic skins then. And I feel like that's exactly the same thing they just decided to do with DC. They're like, we can make money off this with DC, with Suicide Squads. But what do we do for loot? Well, let's not do what Marvel's Avengers did, because people didn't like that. Let's give them guns, which is completely another offbeat of what it is. Like, you could have taken this IP and did something completely different, or get rid of Suicide Squads and make a different game, right? Make a completely different game. SnowRunner? No, I would have thought ATS. ATS is a PC game, and that's a simulator game. SnowRunners. Here, let me show you what SnowRunners is real fast, right? SnowRunners is, I'm telling you, it's a phenomenal game. Let's see. I'll just put gameplay. It's gonna look very, very boring, but let me tell you, it's a super, super hard game. Right? And I'm telling you, it's like the Dark Souls of car driving games. It is brutal. Okay? Graphics are fantastic. Does actual damage. You have upgrades and stuff you do for the trucks. Right? You got little trucks like this, and you got big rigs like this. You got bigger things. You take things from point A to point B. Like right now, he's driving to a point to pick up stuff. Okay, like it's a fantastic game. The amount of realism and the physics that they do with the mud kicking up and the water effects and just the way the sounds and stuff go, and there's so much content. If you like truck games, if you like games like this, there's an endless amount of it'll take you hours and hours and hours for one map to do the whole thing complete. And they got, per map, on average, there's like 4 maps per one region. The newer DLC has about 2 maps per region. The maps are gigantic. For dollar, there's a lot of content here for just a base game, and then you can upgrade. And I think SnowRunners is on Game Pass, if I'm not mistaken. So you can play it on Game Pass. Oh, and it's co-op. It's co-op, right? And you can go into other people's games, and they can help you do things. So it's a very friendly game like that. They can help you open up the maps and whatnot. Does SnowRunners actually teach you to drive? Well, you're not parking. You're not parking. What you're doing is you're picking up gear. See, like he's picking up materials, and the game is done in a way where you can't progress to a certain section until you fix the thing. So, like for instance, you have to go fix bridges, or you have to help fix a facility, and then once you fix the facility, now you can get production from that facility. And then you can get it once you fix the bridge. Now you can go across. Otherwise, you have to go like a half hour out around the roundabout. So it's a very cool game. Very cool game. Come on, Jesse. If you're on PC or Xbox, there are mods too. Yeah, plenty of mods. They do a lot of mod support as well. Supposedly, Water, they might be bringing Batman into one of the DLCs. They might be bringing one of the Batman to the DLC. They said they read something or in the files, something about Batman. Damn you, Milkman. Let me see your driver's license. What's going on, Mo? Yeah, and it gets pretty hectic when you're playing by yourself. I'm not lying here. You could have a big ass like trailer load with like logs on the back end, right? And then all of a sudden you've gone 20, 30 minutes into the game going over the roads and whatnot, and all of a sudden you make one little mistake, all of a sudden the whole thing topples over. Now you have two choices. You could grab another truck with the crane and drive over to it, and then pick up the stuff and pick up the truck, save your truck, pick up the wood, put it back on your truck. Or you save it, like save and recover your truck, and you put your truck back at the base, and then you got to do everything all over again, right? So it becomes brutal at some times. Let me see if I can show you what gets to a bridge. I want to show you what happens at the bridge. Okay. So when you get to your location real fast, right? When you get to your location, like this bridge is out. Okay. He unloads the bridge, has the materials, okay, and then it builds the actual bridge, right? So it has a little cutscene or whatnot. And he's got to move up a little bit to put the other material. I don't know if he actually has it. Did he just drop it off? Yeah, he has to drop it off. So once you complete the bridge, I think, yeah, once you complete the bridge, it like shows you that it's complete, right? So it'll do another cutscene. He unloads it, and then it builds the bridge, and now that bridge is open. Now the other side of that area is open, and there's access to other things. So it literally progresses as you go. It's done very well. Oh, I agree, Barry. You can't explore. I mean, you kind of can explore the world. You got to get a scout truck and go in places and nooks and crannies, which there are pieces and parts that you can find through spread across the land. So you find the towers. The towers open up the areas. Then you go with the scout vehicle to get upgrades for your vehicles. You find other vehicles in the world. So it does a very good job of making you explore. Like, there's so much detail. I forget what board it is. It's in Russia somewhere. This shit was crazy. So we went exploring one day inside SnowRunners, and we came across a concentration camp. I shit you not. There's like a cemetery and stuff inside the concentration camp. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Right? So they did some things in this game, and just like, what, like an encampment or something. It's all those, it's all run down and stuff, but it's like, what the hell? And there's like a cemetery out in the middle of nowhere. It's got some crazy details in the game. Use your own footage, more convincing? What do you mean? Mike actually plays video games, unlike other channels. This is refreshing. I subscribed yesterday. Well, the video footage I showed you is not my footage. We had our other channel that had all our Let's Plays, which is 30 and Still Gaming. And I tried to rebrand the whole thing, so I deleted all my footage, so I don't have any of it. We were going to play it last night because Season 10 just came out 2 weeks ago, but I had a pipe burst on my property, and we had to fix it. We use our mornings to talk, and we use our evenings to play games. You ready to see Disney ruin Star Wars tomorrow? What do you mean tomorrow? What's tomorrow? You're talking about Ahsoka, Travis? That came out today. No, it's out now, isn't it? Came out the 22nd. Yeah, it's out today. And I'm hearing kind of iffy things about it. Kind of hearing iffy things. Generic stuff right now. I'm going to watch it. I'm going to watch it and see what it is. Yeah, they moved it up from the 23rd to the 22nd, and they put 2 episodes. Supposedly the first 2 episodes are pretty dull. What I think is going to happen is, I don't know how many episodes they are. If there's 8 or 10, I don't think we see Thrawn until like episode 8, and I don't think we see Ezra at all this season. Because mine's coming August 23rd. How's that possible? Disney Plus is Disney Plus. Hold on, I gotta sign in underneath my other. It can't be. It's not on my system. Just looked. Yours says August 23rd. You live in the United States, right, Travis? It literally says streaming today, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2-part premium, which was yesterday. Like, I could literally click on it, right? Wait a minute. Did I click on the trailer? It's out now. Well, apparently not. Interesting. Oh, 9 p.m. Yeah, it's 9 p.m. tonight. Yeah, 9 p.m. tonight. 2-part premium. It says right here. Streaming today at 9 p.m. Eastern. 6 p.m. Pacific, which would be 8 p.m. your time. This right here says the 23rd, but they switched it. They literally switched it like 3 days ago and said it's the 22nd. So this is contradicting of the other thing, but it's coming out tonight at 9 p.m. What do you mean yours doesn't show the other thing? This is literally the homepage. Look. This is literally the first thing you see on Disney Plus. What do you mean you don't see it? What planet are you on? Your Disney Plus is not going to be different than my Disney Plus. Especially since you live in the United States. I can understand maybe if you're in a different country and you're like, yeah, they're not showing it there because whatever. This is literally on the homepage of Disney Plus. I disagree with everyone's point of view. Like, I was like, how are you different? I know you live in Texas. Yeah, they literally made the change. I think it was like 2 days ago. They came out and decided to move it to the 22nd. They moved it up a couple months ago to like a week, and then they moved it up a couple days ago, 1 extra day. I want to know why they moved it up 1 extra day. And they put back to back episodes. And the reason companies do that is because they're not very happy with the response. and they can then use promotional material once it airs today that within by the weekend, 100 hours have been watched or 10,000 hours been watched. But really, if it was one episode, it wouldn't be that high. So they make it 2 episodes to gather because they'll just broadly, generically say that this many people watch Ahsoka. And that's why they do it. Oh, I agree. It's 2023, Travis. Products don't have to work correctly at launch. They're just there. We are gonna watch it. I don't know if I'm gonna do any kind of reviews to it though. 8 episodes. I say we don't see Thrawn until episode 7. Stealth. I'm gonna say we don't see it till episode 7 because he's the thing they're gonna tease you, right? And we might hear Ezra's voice or something. I don't know if Ezra's even in the show. I'll be honest. I haven't looked up anything on IMDb. Let me see. Do they even have let's see. Do they even have a cast for Ezra? Ezra Bridger, 1 episode. Yeah. There you go. 1 episode. Well, actually, they all say 1 episode, don't they? Yeah, no, 1 episode. I don't think we see him until episode 7 or 8. It also means that we don't actually have to see him, right? Well, hold on a second, because they also showed. Hold on. I want to prove a point here, though, right? Because they also say Mark Hamill was in The Force Awakens, and all you saw was his hand. So, right, or at the very end, like the last possible second. So, I'm not gonna say we see Ezra. See Ezra. So we'll see what happens. One thing I hope to see is the flashback scene from the Clone Wars with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Rex, Ahsoka, and Anakin fighting together. But I guess. What I don't want to see, Stealth, is the alternate version of that where Ahsoka's in place of somebody else. Because that just moves more towards my point of what I made months and months and years ago when we talked about it. But that's right, Sarge. Not only does Disney do that, but they also lie and that they're being sued because they lied about the money that movies make, and they reallocate funds to make the movie look like it's more profitable than it actually is. So these are actual facts that Disney's doing, and they're being sued because of it. Because perception is reality in Disney's world. What else we got here? Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal following the restructure. The deal may require another notification by regulators. Hold on one second. So this is an update of what we just went over with the deal. So is this something else on top of the deal? Okay, so this is a continuation from what we talked about earlier. So this came in at 9:13 a.m. today, and Stealth posted it about an hour and a half ago. So the EU might need to recess the Microsoft's Activision Blizzard deal after restructuring. The European Commission says it's carefully assessing whether Microsoft's deal restructuring will require further investigation. Let's see. The Commission is carefully assessing whether the developments in the UK require another notification to the Commission, says European Commission. Another notification to the EU could signal a further review deal. Regulators in European Commission clearly earlier this year, while the EU had cloud gaming concerns just like the EU, it's secured remedies as part of the approval granting EU consumers a free licensing to stream via any cloud gaming streaming service of their choice. All current and future Activision Blizzard PC and console games that will have a license for cloud providers will also offer free license to stream games in the EU markets. At the time of the approval, Microsoft has also committed in the tweet from Microsoft's President Brad Smith, global appeal to automatically competing cloud gaming services, while Microsoft says its restructured transactions won't affect Microsoft obligations to the European Commission. Ubisoft will now control licensing outside of the EU markets. In reality, this means the cloud services should start in the EU with the free license, but also will now need Ubisoft to grant its license if it wanted to operate in the US, for example. Microsoft had been planning to apply these licenses freely globally, but is now surrendering Activision Blizzard cloud gaming rights to Ubisoft outside of the EU. Restructured deal means that Microsoft does close this proposed acquisition, that it will also need to seek license from Ubisoft for Activision Blizzard games on its Xbox cloud gaming service outside of the EU. It will not be able to release Activision Blizzard games exclusively on Xbox cloud gaming, nor will it have exclusive control over the licensing terms, which we already talked about. UK regulators are already treating this as a new deal with the Competition and Marketing Authority, opening a new Phase 1 investigation into the restructured deal. So they're licensing it to Ubisoft, and they have to get the permission from Ubisoft to put it onto Game Pass. Again, if they make a deal with Ubisoft Plus, they're like, hey, now that we gave you the licensing, what about if you put yourself on Game Pass? Right? So we'll see. That's what it seems like to me. It seems like they're... Because why would Microsoft... Right? Because the CMA was worried about the EU. But now they're making a deal with Ubisoft to anything outside the EU, they have to get Ubisoft's permission to put it on Game Pass. Seems like the opposite, right? Seems like the opposite. What's the next emote, Travis? What's the next emote? It should be 30 with a Marvin the Martian helmet. And the words, this makes me very angry. Let's see what else they got here. We got this as well. This goes along the lines of what we were talking about a couple of weeks and months ago. So, forget movie night. Samsung is making the first portable projector with built-in cloud gaming. Dun, dun, dun. Bring 100-inch of cloud gaming goodness anywhere without lugging around a TV. Okay. Samsung is upgrading a freestyle projector into a portable cloud gaming device, offering up to 100 inches of high-definition screen space without the need to lug around the actual screen. The Freestyle Gen 2 comes with the Samsung Gaming Hub, which gives you access to numerous cloud gaming apps like Xbox Cloud Gaming, NVIDIA's GeForce Now, and Amazon's Luna. It's the same gaming hub we've seen in the newer Samsung Smart TV. Connect Bluetooth controller, and have a membership to one of these services, and you're ready to go. The projector outputs a 1080p with refresh rates of 60 hertz, which is quite suitable for cloud gaming. The screen size can be adjusted to 30 to 100 inches, depending on the available projection surface. Aside from gaming, the projector has all Samsung Smart TV apps, like Hulu, Netflix for watching movies, shows, and sports. The Freestyle Gen 2 has a listed peak brightness of 230 lumen, which is fine for a 1080p projector, which is also want to ensure space you're projecting in a dimly lit. So maybe invest in some blackout curtains and some micro HDMI ports if you want to plug your laptop or console. But you might also need to find an adapter to make all the necessary connections. The Freestyle Gen 2 also strives to be foolproof, usable, and easy setup feature with automatically levels focusing on optimizes the picture, and aims to eliminate the need of extensive tweaking. Through the haven't been able to test out if it works ourselves, but at least we welcome the idea of encouraging annoyance of setting up a projector for gaming. You can also buy yourself a battery base for $190, and you also find yourself in the middle of the woods with the need to stream some Xbox games against a large tree. Samsung doesn't list the battery size anywhere. Okay, what's the price? The Samsung Freestyle Gen 2 Gaming Hub ships out September 1st for $800. $800 for a projector. Not a bad price. Look at that. Another device that you do not need a console. Streaming games and movies. 20 years, folks. 20 years people think it's going to take for cloud gaming and whatnot to move the needle. Trillion billion businesses, companies show us seriously shows contrast to everyone, and Sony says no. That's all. It's pretty nice. How much is it going to be? $800. Reese says they said we'll see your no console needed and raise you no TV needed. Exactly right. Technology exponentially faster. If you're in the forest, put down the controllers, you spoiled kid. That's what I was thinking. I was like, why would you? First of all, if I go to the forest, I'm not going to bring a goddamn projector. I'm going to bring a Nintendo Switch. Let's be honest, right? If I was a kid on a camping trip and while I'm bored because my dad's out in the woods shooting, killing something, I'm gonna be playing the Nintendo Switch. Here's the thing. I said this a couple months ago. I said this recently. Everyone's worried about 60 frames per second. And yet the industry is worried about 4K, right? They're worried about 4K running at 30 frames per second. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Because they want cloud gaming. They want cloud services. Okay? Everyone's worried about the next thing going up further and further, and the industry's like, nobody really knows the difference between 30 and 60 frames. That market is so minute that we're going to keep it at 30 frames per second at 4K because people hear 4K and they're like, "Oh my god, it's beautiful." Okay? And they're going to cloud stream. That's what they're going to do. Right? Because they got to keep it down. They got to keep it down. So you get just another project, right? And I guarantee you by CES next year, you're going to see tons of televisions and things that you can stream, cloud gaming, big thing. That's what they're going to push. What else we got this morning? What else we got? Talk about Grand Theft Auto real fast. Oh, this Thursday, guys, Generation X Gaming. Sarge will be joining me here in my house. So it might be a little different setup. I'm not sure how it's going to work. But I got to set it up so me and Sarge are in the same room talking towards each other. I think I'll grab one for my birthday. Definitely saves me room when traveling with the fam. Yeah. Yeah. I have a projector. I love my projector. My projector is like, it was 1080p back in the day, right? And it's 2000 lumens if I'm not mistaken. It does up to the screen's 160 inches, I believe. So when we watch like movies and stuff, I have it hooked up on a screen, and the screen comes down in my living room in front of our wall unit, and then I set up the projector and we watch movies that way. It's fantastic. I used to have in our condo, we had 2 master bedrooms, and I turned one of the master bedrooms into a movie theater. I built a tier system, and we had like actual recliners and whatnot. We had 2 rows. When I have cloud games, I've never tell the difference. Very good on Xbox. Here's the thing, Monster. There is a difference, right? There is a difference. There's some lag and stuff that goes on. But again, for most people, they're not going to complain. They're going to be like, this is amazing, right? It's like people complaining about being on an airplane. Louis C.K. talks about it, right? Being on an airplane using internet, right? You know what I mean? Like, people that are using the internet on a plane are complaining that, oh, it's too slow. But meanwhile, other people are looking at it going, it's amazing. I can use the internet while flying 700 miles an hour in the sky. You're going to let that guy in your house? Yeah, he's my brother. So. For my first gaming experience, mine was Pong. We talked about it. I thought my first game was bowling, but Sarge tells me it wasn't bowling. It was the Pong type of games. There's Pong. There was like a couple other games on this one system. I forget. It wasn't Coleco. I forget what it was. I thought it was on the Atari 2600. Mo says Cloud sucks. I don't like it at all. What? Mo, you don't like something? Unbelievable. In 5 years' time, doctors are going to spank you and give you a projector in the AI program. I'm going to try it. When Starfield comes out, we have an Xbox One. I'm going to load it up and play it through the cloud and see, because I have Ultimate, so we'll see. Be interested to see how it runs. Because I'll be honest, I was pretty impressed playing Microsoft Flight Sim on the S. Because I had the S before we got the X. And we played Flight Sim when it came out. And I was pretty blown away by what it could do on the S over the cloud. No, Crowded, we're not. Play at least 390 feet away from the Xbox 30. It will explode. All of a sudden you hear like I'm streaming and all you hear is, oh. You're like, what is that noise? You're like, oh, I'm just playing Starfield on the Xbox One. Flight Sim itself is a feat in itself. It's amazing, right? What's the data, right? I forget what they said, right? Flight Sim. Let's see, Microsoft. Okay, how much data does Microsoft Flight Sim use? Flight Simulator 2020 can use around 1 gig of data per hour. And it's an offline game. They're doing a petabyte, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. How many petabytes does Microsoft Flight Sim use? Microsoft Flight Sim uses in-house graphics and physics engines while using Microsoft Azure to provide over 2 petabytes of world map data taken from the cloud on demand. Over 2 petabytes of world map data taken from the cloud on demand. That's insane, right? Now, obviously, it's not a demanding game as far as like you're not playing guns and shooting and fast things. You're flying a plane, but the feat that it's sending that information to your Xbox is crazy. That's what I'm saying, Akuta Papa. It's literally streaming. It's cloud to your box as you're flying. That's exactly right, Water. That's exactly right. Make a problem, sell the solution, right? So they tell you, look, we want people to play everywhere and anywhere, wherever you want. If you want to play Starfield, you can play Starfield on the Xbox One, the Xbox Series S, and the Xbox Series X. So this is the scenario. You have an Xbox One. You haven't upgraded yet, right? You haven't upgraded yet. You're like, I'm going to play. I have Game Pass, right? Because think about that. They have 25 million people that have Game Pass. Well, there's only 22 million units out there for Xbox, right? 15 million of them are over on Ultimate on PC. Okay. So there's only, what, 10 million of the 22 million that have Xbox. So that means 10 million are over on, or whatever, on the Xbox One. Because not everyone that has Xbox has Game Pass. So there's people that have Game Pass over on Xbox One. They're going to look at it and go, oh, I can play Starfield. They'll download, they'll play it, they'll see it and go, oh, this is nice. Then they start to think, man, I wonder what the graphics look like on the Xbox Series S or X. Then there's 2 scenarios here, right? Now they go to the store and they're like, man, for $300, I get the S. That's an upgrade from the Xbox One, right? But for $500, I can get the X. And they might buy that. Or they're like, the X is too expensive. I'm going to get the S, right? Make the problem, sell the solution. The problem is, this is old. This is this is too expensive. This is the Goldilocks box. It's a choice, simple facts. Xbox Series X sales soar after Starfield releases. I wonder why. Right? Or television sets go up, or projectors get bought, right? You don't have to buy. You don't have to buy. I think as gamers, Monster, I think you should be excited because potentially, right? Again, we were all excited about Cyberpunk, right? We were all excited about Cyberpunk when it came out because it was like the next. Basically, Cyberpunk was supposed to get the reception of Baldur's Gate 3, right? It was supposed to get that reception. But then Cyberpunk came out and it had a bad take, and people were pissed off about it. So now instead of us praising what like Starfield did, or I'm sorry, what Cyberpunk did, now Starfield comes out and we can compare it sort of like what it is to Cyberpunk. And we're like, oh, well, is it going to be good on PC and bad on consoles? Different company, but it's a massive game, right? A game like this comes out once every so often, right? Like it's like 5-10 years. right? Like a Grand Theft Auto is that type of caliber game we're talking about. Cyberpunk was supposed to be that caliber game. Now Starfield is that like caliber game. I hope it's good. I hope no, you know what? I hope it's great. But we'll see. You know? Does it come out and just bells and whistles, everyone's just amazed? Or does it come out like a wet paper towel? Just, you know, I don't think it does that other one. Travis says, how so? I mean, we just got the vastly superior Baldur's Gate 3, and it was in the same year. What I'm saying is, name the superior game as the caliber of Baldur's Gate 3 or Cyberpunk or Mass Effect, right? Or Grand Theft Auto. Sure, people like, I'm not talking about like popular games as far as like God of War or a Spider-Man. I'm talking about the level of what's the word I'm looking for? Where the critics just look at Baldur's Gate 3 and they're like, this is like, you're probably not going to see Baldur's Gate 3 type style of game, right? We haven't seen it in years, and we're probably not going to see it again for a couple more years in that RPG era for isometric, right? Now, for Starfield, right? Like the hype right now, Cyberpunk was super hype, right? Elden Ring wasn't super hype, right? What's another game? God of War wasn't super hype. It's super hype because it's popular with the PlayStation group. I'm talking about just in general, like what people are looking for. Cyberpunk was like next level excitement. Okay? Grand Theft Auto 6 is next level excitement. Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't next level excitement. It's excitement now because it's a good game and people are looking to be a good game. But Starfield is that next level excitement of, what is this thing going to be? Like, this could be a genre-defining kind of type of game. Did you see how Spider-Man October release made another dev either push their games forward or back so it releases around the same time as, so it not released? Yeah, well, games like that, you don't want to be around, right? People only have a certain amount of paydays in a month, and they're only going to buy one game probably a month, right? So you want to try to get it away as far as possible away from that. Elden was beyond super hype. It didn't get super hype. There's a difference, Travis. Elden Ring got super hyped after it launched. Only the people that were fans of the Dark Souls series were hyped about Elden Ring. Once Elden Ring came out, it went up to the next echelon of excitement. But people weren't looking forward. The masses weren't looking forward to a game, right? Elden Ring wasn't marketed like Cyberpunk. Elden Ring wasn't marketed like Grand Theft Auto. That's the difference I'm talking about. One sec, Peter Gabriel just dropped a vid. No offense. What do you, Peter? You know, I don't even who is that. Oh, singer Peter Gabriel. That's what you're talking about. I mean, like video game space, and you're talking about a musician. That's why I was like, Peter Gabriel. Is that a developer? Right, Water. Right, like Baldur's Gate 3 now is getting the getting the views, is getting the recognition that it's doing because it's a good game. But leading up to the launch of Baldur's Gate 3, the only fans of Baldur's Gate 3 were people that like D&D, which is not a small crew. But I'm saying it's not the world recognition, right? I'm sure if you went somewhere and said Baldur's Gate 3 is a good game, I'd be like, what game? First time I played it, I was like, refund. Then I gave it a second look, found it was amazing. Right. I can't watch anything without Spider-Man 2 trailer anymore. So by Travis's logic, that game is overhyped and will suck. No, it's different though. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, Spider-Man is not a game, is not in the same echelon as like a Grand Theft Auto 6 or what Cyberpunk was. The hype, like, you know what Spider-Man 2 is. You played Spider-Man 1, you played Miles Morales, you know what Spider-Man 2 is, right? Like, we didn't play Grand Theft Auto, like, 4 is completely different than what 5 was. 5, were exponentially, a Red Dead Redemption was exponentially, like industry standards raised and moved because of the detail that they put into it. Right? Cyberpunk, they were talking about it for 14 years, about what they originally wanted to do, and then when it came out, right? It's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going to be the best game, role-playing game ever, blah, blah, blah. It was like this set standard of what it was supposed to be. Spider-Man is not doing that. Spider-Man, people are just hyped for Spider-Man because they're like, oh, Spider-Man 1 was great. Spider-Man 2 was, or Miles Morales was great. We're talking about brand new IP with like super echelon of hype. Grand Theft Auto's on a new IP though, Water, but the difference between Grand Theft Auto 6 and Spider-Man is Rockstar, every time they come out with a game, is raising the bar to what they've done themselves before, right? So everything that you did in Grand Theft Auto or anything you did in Red Dead Redemption, now you're like, holy Christ, this game's going to be, because they go leaps and bounds ahead of what they did last time. And this is not shitting on Spider-Man in any way, shape, or form. It's just Spider-Man's hype, right? Spider-Man's great. It's going to be a great game. Just like Spider-Man 1 was, but it's not changing. You're still in Manhattan. You're still doing the same things. It's still Spider-Man. It's the next issue of Spider-Man. Cyberpunk went from The Witcher 3 to Cyberpunk. How are they going to make this world? Oh my God, I can't wait to get into this world. That's what Starfield is. I think I heard something around like 20, 15, 20. What was the first game? I would say it's about the same. I would say. $17 hours was the first one. Second game, 7.5 hours. Right? It looks like, as of right now, maybe, I would say about 10, 15 hours. Like, what's the next game, right? Next year is already booked, right? Next year, we don't even know if Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out. But Grand Theft Auto 6, if it comes out next year, is the biggest game coming out next year. Doesn't matter what else comes out. Grand Theft Auto 6 has already booked their ticket. Whatever year they come out, if it's next year, if it's 2025, no matter what game comes out, Grand Theft Auto 6 overshadows everything. Wolverine, possibly. Wolverine can come out next year, and Rockstar's Grand Theft Auto 6 will overshadow it. Why? Because Grand Theft Auto is on everything, and Wolverine is on PlayStation. Travis says, I will never buy another Xbox. Well, that's good, Travis, because you don't have to buy an Xbox. Well, I don't know if they'll ever do that. I don't want to say ever. I don't think they're anytime soon. I just showed you that you can get a Samsung TV, you can get cloud gaming, you can buy it, you can play it wherever. You don't actually have to own an Xbox anymore to play it. Well, in 2000 was it 11 or 14? Sony was actually going to file bankruptcy. Hey, to play Microsoft games, you don't need an Xbox. Where's it? I don't think we're gonna get anything from Transformers at Gamescom. I don't think we're gonna do it. Did you guys see this? Uh-oh. Did you guys see this? This just in. The Atari 2600 is back, baby. It's the Atari 2600 Plus. $130. Woo! Or small $32.49 a month payments for 4 months. No cartridge left behind. Here's what you get. Here's what you get. No cartridge left behind. Enjoy your favorite Atari 2600 and 7800 games on one system. Not only does the Atari 2600 Plus pull double cartridge duty, it also features an HDMI widescreen mode for easy connectivity to modem TVs or modern TVs. Jump right in to exclude the CX40 Plus joystick and 10-in-1 game cartridge that features some of the Atari's most famous games like Avengers, Missile Command, and Yar's Revenge. Okay? You can play both Atari 2600 and 7800 game cartridges. HDMI output makes it easy to connect. Widescreen mode. All right? The system comes with the 10-in-1 game cartridge featuring some of the Atari's most games. You got Adventure, Combat, Dodge 'em, Haunted House, Maze Craze. I love me some Maze Craze. I used to play Maze Craze crazy. I used to love that game. Okay. Why? You bought it, Stealth? So you're telling me, okay, I have a question here. So if I have my cartridges, which we do, I can buy this new system and put my original cartridges there and play. But I still have a working Atari. I guess it's not getting widescreen. Is ET on the console? We still have ET. I mean, but why? Why? Why do I need this? I don't get it. No, it's not 1,700 games. You don't get 1,700 games, Sarge. It just works on 1,700 games. Right? You can use your old cartridges of 1,700 games that are out there. But you're only buying this for $130 with 10 games. I do like that old classic controller. Hence why it's in my logo. Gotta remember where you came from. Two systems in one. All right, Travis, have a good one. Materials, plastic and metal. Microprocessor, Rock Chip 3120. Frequently asked questions. Will this play Atari cartridges? Absolutely. The 2600 Plus can play both Atari 2600 and 7800 cartridges. Okay. Different from the original 2600. HDMI output that makes it easy to connect. Widescreen mode. 80% of the original size. 80%. 80% the original size. What are we talking about? Is this thing like this big? 80%. Does the Atari 2600 Plus use emulation software to play game cartridges? Yes, the Atari 2600 uses emulation technology to play game cartridges. View the full list of compatible games here. Okay, let's see this list of games. Here you go. Just pages after pages. Just pages after pages of games. What is the actual measurement of this thing? 80%. I mean, it's got to be pretty small, right? No, it's not 4K. And no, it's not 60 frames per second. Right, Water. That's what I don't understand. I think right now, if I go to... Here, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Can I play this? Is this literally playing? Okay, I can literally play. How do I start this? Set. All right, how do I move? Oh no, you're hitting my guys. How do I move? Look, guys. I just saved myself. I just saved myself some money here. Oh, don't hit him. Oh god. Look, guys, we got the Atari 2600. Now this is some great sound effects and whatnot. Look, you can literally play it on your cell phone, for God's sakes. Why do I need to spend $130 when I can literally play every single emulation game possible known to man? Look, they had Maze Craze, right? Maze Craze. Let's go down. Do they have Maze Craze here? Come on. Maze Craze. Okay. Literally. Oh, boom! Still got it, baby. Still got it. Like, why do I need... Look, I've already had my fill. I already had my fill. What do you want, Pitfall? Of course they have Pitfall. Right? Here, Pitfall. You want Pitfall? Oh no, I fell down. I fell down. I gotta find the controllers. Gotta wait. Get up out of there. I don't know how to let go. I don't know how to let go. Oh. Oh no, the gators. Oh God, the gators! I forget you have to balance on their heads, right? I gotta get on their head. I can't jump. That's it. Right? This. So my point is, why? Why do I need this? I get nostalgia. Right? Yeah, I remember. Just gonna step on the eyes. The controls are absolutely horrendous on the keyboard. But why? Why do you need this? Oh, some great games there. And what did that take me? 30 seconds? Is Atari gonna come after me now? Kung Fu. What did you ask? Frostbite? Sure they do. Let's see. Frostbite. Here you go. Frostbite right here. I don't think I've ever played this. This is like Hubert. How do you start? Oh, I think we messed up. Oh, we messed up. What do I have to do? I have to get back up to the top now? How do you play this? Do we have to get down to the bottom again? I don't understand. Jump on as many things as possible, all right? Oh, but we can't. I see. I gotcha. I gotcha. Oh, you can't get hit. You build an igloo. Oh, I see. Okay, you're building an igloo on the top over there. Oh, the birds. Got it, baby. The sound effects are fantastic, aren't they? Oh, look at this. This is great. Who needs to play Battlefield 2042 when you have things like this? Beautiful. Oh, I got pushed off. Looks like oh man. What a beautiful game. This is just great. This is like Atari's Game Pass right here. I know, Big T. I'm done. I'm literally done. Like I haven't played it in 35 years, and I'm good for another 35. I'm good for another 35. So there you go. You can go pick that up. Plays all your old cartridges. To think that a lot of people still have their old cartridges is interesting, though. Atari Game Pass coming soon. Oh boy. All right. No wonder the Atari lost the console war. Yeah, they make good games. They still make pretty decent games. You know? Look, you had to come from something, you know what I mean? If it wasn't for Atari, we wouldn't have Nintendo. You know? You have to have the crap to get through to get to the good. So, and no problem, Monster. I never played that. I didn't own that one. Trying to see what else we got here. All right, tonight what we're gonna do? We're gonna have another show. We're having another show just in a couple of an hour or so. At 1:30, I'm gonna come back online. We're gonna go about a half hour before Gamescom goes live. So we're gonna watch that live at 2 o'clock. We're gonna go live at 1:30. So in an hour from now, we're gonna go back live. I'm gonna go eat lunch. Gotta do some things before I sit that back down and do another 2-hour show, because I think it's 2 hours. I think it's 2 hours of gameplay, of stuff to show and whatnot. Tonight, me and Dupless are going to jump into Fallout 76. They had an update for the new season or whatnot. I haven't played it in over, I don't know, a year and a half or so. So we're going to go back in, just mess around, see what Fallout 76 has to offer. I figured, why not check it out right before Starfield comes out and whatnot. So that's what we're going to do tonight. At 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to check out some Fallout 76. And while we play, we're going to bullshit a little bit and talk about other things, what we saw at Gamescom and whatnot. But I'll see you back at 1:30 right here to watch Gamescom. And then I'll see you, if I don't see you this afternoon, we'll see you again tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern for some more Fallout 76 content. So I appreciate it very much. Thank you very much for coming out. Make sure you hit that like button. Please share, like, subscribe. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.